Good morning, YouTube. I got a good video for you today. Basically, had a whole bunch of crazy comments on my 22 long rifle for SHTF on TikTok. I mentioned in there how much more efficient snares are. I gotta say that I'm a little biased between 22 LR and snares. I've done both for a long time, and to me, snares are just way more efficient. But I'm gonna try to basically break the two down, my thought process behind it, and why I think that planning to rely completely on 22 long rifle for game getting and shit hit the fan is a bad idea. All right, so we're going to start by weighing both sets of equipment. All right, we've got the scale going here. This is my wife's TCR 22. It is a Ruger 1022 clone, but it has a really lightweight stock and actually a really nice sling for a 22. It's very light, okay? So I'm actually going to be weighing an extremely light version of a 22 rifle for the test. All right, let's see what we get. I did clear it, by the way, okay? So there is no round in the chamber. So those of you that are hardcore on the slings might argue that this actually is 4 grams light. Okay, so 5 pounds, 7.4 ounces. Now we're going to put a loaded 1022 mag on there. That's the official Ruger mag, right? So we have 3.1 ounces. Everyone wants to tell me how light 1022 ammo is, so we're going to find out, okay? And these are 400 round boxes. We're just going to say you're only bringing 800 rounds to the field. So 5 pounds, 13.5 ounces. That's correct. 800 rounds of 22 weighs more than a 1022 clone with a 4X scope on it and a sling. All right, so to talk about the slings real quick, you can buy these super cheap, like braided aircraft cable slings on eBay. They're dirt cheap, guys. You can get like a dozen for like 17 bucks or something like that, okay? I've got some 24 inchers on me. I just ordered some more 36 inchers. Kind of depends on where you are, what you want. It's going to be easier to set up a 36 incher. You have more like options on where you're going to anchor it and stuff like that, okay? I've got 24 inchers, so that's what we're going to weigh. And in my experience and my wife's experience, you need to have, if it's just one person you're worried about, you probably want to have a dozen of these snares set up, okay, to make sure you're eating every day. If you've got a group of people, 6 snares per person tends to do it, okay? So my family, we got 4 people. So our plan is to have 24 snares with us, all right? Okay, 6 24-inch snares. 4.6 ounces. We're going to actually double that for this comparison. We're going to say you have 12 snares with you, okay? So we're going to double that weight up to 9.2 ounces, all right? If you're snaring regularly, you are going to run into problems with coyotes, okay? So we're going to throw in a couple coyote traps just to make sure you have those with you. Here's one. 1 pound, 6.3 ounces. I'm going to double that weight as well. So it's as though we have 2 coyote traps. All right, that's going to give us 2 pounds, 12.6 ounces. All right, so in the weight department, what we have for the 22 loadout is 11 pounds, 8 ounces. And for snares, we have 3 pounds, 4.8 ounces. So obviously, snares are much lighter than carrying a 22 and even a small amount of ammunition with you. All right, now let's talk about effectiveness, okay? Because, you know, the effectiveness of hunting small game or putting small game on the table matters too, right? So those of you that have actually hunted with a 22 rifle and cleaned that game know that 22 long rifle will actually do quite a bit of damage to small game if you don't get a through and through shot, okay? For those of you that don't know what a through and through shot is, let's say you have a side profile of the animal and you hit it right through the vitals. It goes right out the other side. You don't impact shoulders or hips or spine or head or any of that stuff. Headshots will do it from the side as well, you know, but if you take a headshot from the front, you're going to blow the head into the shoulders. Basically what happens is you create a whole bunch of bone fragments that are going the same direction as the bullet, and you can lose a lot of meat that way. So snaring is not the same way. Snaring, you might see a little bit of damage with hides, but you're not going to see damage with meat. Okay, I've done it, so I know. All right, so right there, snares are going to be better at making sure that what you do catch or what you do kill ends up in your gut. All right. Okay, now let's talk about the time spent hunting, right? Because this is part of effectiveness as well. Okay, so a lot of guys think they're just going to post up somewhere with a 10-22 and lay there all day long and take whatever game presents itself. And that might be the truth, okay, but you're burning a lot of time to do that. With snaring, you're looking at the initial setup, okay, and which is more time consuming. Okay, but after that, you're looking at checking your snares morning and night. And if you're checking 6 snares and it's close to camp, you're looking at 20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes to check your snares and reset them once they're all anchored and they've got a good spot. Okay, it's not that hard. So obviously double that time for a dozen snares. So 40 minutes morning, 40 minutes night. All right. I've hunted small game extensively with 22, and to have enough to feed you, especially in areas that are a little more, where there's not so much game, not so much numerous game. And honestly, my experience snaring is in places that don't have a ton of game. All right. We're talking high desert. All right. Now, yeah, there is rabbits and shit like that. And it depends on where you're putting your snares up, right? There isn't rabbits just everywhere, but the same thing goes for hunting. Right? There isn't rabbits just everywhere in the high desert, okay? You have to find out where the bunnies are. So that's kind of a moot point, like you're going to have to look for them no matter which one of these you go with, all right? But obviously, in my experience, snares are going to be far more effective when it comes to time spent. A lot of people don't think that really matters, but the real truth of the situation is in shit hit the fan, you have a lot of stuff to spend your time on. All right. Your little modern civilized life where you go out on Saturday to shoot some rabbits, that shit's over. Okay. You've got to get ready for the winter. You've got to make sure you've got a good shelter. There's all kinds of concerns. There's a lot of places you can spend your time other than humping it around with a 10-22. Okay, guys? Okay, cost. If we compare the cost, obviously the snares far, far, far more affordable. Okay, you can buy a dozen snares and a couple coyote traps for probably like $50. Now maybe $60, $70. Okay, this Thompson Contender, Thompson Center, 22 was, I want to say, almost $300. And then we put the scope on it. And then obviously the ammunition, which these days you're generally looking at about $20 a box. Okay, so now we're looking up in the close to $400 range, if not more, for the 22 setup. Okay, let's compare training time to be effective. You know what? I think it's similar. I don't think it really is. There's you don't have an advantage with one over the other. You're going to spend time learning how to shoot and how to be effective hunting. Okay. You're also going to spend time learning how to set up snares properly and that kind of stuff. So I'd say it's pretty much a draw there. No advantage to either one. Okay, longevity of using both in a shit hit the fan scenario. Okay, obviously you have a limited amount of 22 ammo. You have 800 rounds. Like, how fast are you going to burn through that? How good of a shot are you? How careful are you taking your shots? Are you making every single one count? Well, if you're making every single one count, then, you might be able to, if you're by yourself, you might be able to last if most of just about all your calories are coming from small game, which your life's going to suck if that's the situation. But if that is the situation, you're looking at, you might last like half a year. Okay. Tops. All right. With 800 rounds. Now, okay. Part of the argument is, it's all over the place. All right, well, this kind of depends on what's happened, right? Like, are you going to go trade with other people? Are you going to risk your life getting out there into the farmlands and going through people's homes, like vacant homes, looking for shit? You know what I mean? It's like, On the other side with snares, you know, these aircraft cable snares will last for a long time. They will get damaged from time to time. Okay, they will get damaged. So basically, they'll get kinked to a point where it's kind of a little harder to use them. You can unkink it to a degree, but once they take a certain amount of damage, it's kind of always going to be there. We've thrown one away. All right. So you can get a lot of use out of them. And then the other thing that you can do, which I do, is keep a roll of copper wire with me. All right, not that braided shit. It's not going to work good for this. I've tried it. Okay, it needs to be solid copper wire. And you're looking for a very thin, solid copper wire. Okay, you can make a lot of snares out of that. Yes, we would have to add a little bit of weight, but it's not heavy. We're talking probably less than a pound. Okay, and they're probably about $15 for a roll like that. And in addition, you know, copper wire, I could make the same argument for snares when it comes to availability, right? Like if your plan is to go out and try and trade and or go through homes and try and find more, you know, 22 ammo, there's copper wire everywhere. Okay, so that's, you know, as far as scavenging goes, you know, it's probably going to be easier to find copper wire than it is going to be to find 22. Operational security. Okay, the snares are going to totally win this one, guys. All right. Yes, you do have to go check your traps. Yes, you are going to want to move them occasionally so you're not going to the same place constantly day in and day out. All right. But as far as noise goes, I mean, it's obviously a lot quieter. Okay. You know, the report from a 22, a lot of the arguments I see online is, oh, you know, 22 has a low report. Right, but you're constantly hunting to put meat in your stomach. You're constantly doing this. This is a daily thing, okay? And those of you that think you're just going to be sniping deer from 450 yards, you know, in SHTF with a 1022 are smoking crack, all right? I mean, you could end up getting lucky at some point in time, but you got to think there's going to be the most extreme pressure on game that any of us have ever experienced in our lifetimes. Okay, it's going to be Great Depression level game pressure, if not worse. Okay, so you really need a higher caliber rifle, something that's going to reach out and be more effective, or you're just going to wound game and it's going to run off on you. Okay, all right. So yeah, when it comes down to operational security, I'm going to put that in favor of snares pretty easily there. There is self-defense. The self-defense conversation, you can use 22 long rifle for self-defense, obviously, if you had to. Okay, so that's one of the ways where, you know, 22 is going to win out over snares. And honestly, guys, if 22 is what you have and you don't have anything else and you don't have the means to get anything else, that's what you got. Okay, and you got to make the best with what you have. But you need to get snares too, and you need to train yourself to use snares, okay, because small game is one of those things that's not going to disappear when the shit hits the fan. It's going to be everywhere, all right? And you want to burn up that 22 faster than shit, because you are. You're going to burn through it really fast hunting. You're going to give away your location a lot easier. So it's just smart to use snares no matter what kind of approach you're taking in the firearms department. There's something else we should address real quick with 22, and that is that you can take game other than rabbits and squirrels, where with snares, you're not going to snare birds. Okay, it's not going to happen. So we'll give that to 22 long rifle as well. On the flip side, I have shot birds with a 22, and, you know, most of the time you're going to damage quite a bit of the meat. You know, your shot placement's got to be really good, and especially if you're shooting small birds, man, it's like, by the time you breast them out, it's like you got one tiny breast instead of two, you know. And sometimes you blow the whole damn bird up. You know, I've eaten robins, sparrows, all kinds of shit, guys, all right? So that's just the reality of it with that. You know, unless you're shooting larger, you know, birds, then you're going to lose a good bit of it, most likely, you know, to taking it in the first place. I think that pretty much sums it up. You guys can probably see why I'm so fond of snares. I keep them with me all the time. I have snares in my haversack right now. Matter of fact, that's where I got those 6 from to do the video. All right, they just make too much sense. And to me, having a rifle that's chambered in either an intermediate rifle cartridge, right, like 5.56, 7.62 by 39, something like that, or a full length rifle cartridge that's common to the States makes more sense. It's going to be better for self-defense if you need it, but you're also going to be able to reach out there much further and take that big game that's got a lot of game pressure on it when you can. And that's why I've been doing some videos on how do you keep from losing that big game once you take it. I've done some of that on TikTok, but I'm going to get into way more detail here on YouTube in a bit. All right, so that's it, guys. I'm just going to wrap it. You make your own decision. There is no cookie cutter approach to shit hit the fan. We're all in different places, like not only just like geographically speaking, but like skill level wise and all that, okay? So you guys are going to have to think through it and decide what you think is best for you, all right? But that's it. I hope you guys liked the video. Give it a like, share it, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and check out my Patreon page. I would love to have some more support from you guys on there, and I've got tons of ideas what I can do for patrons and shit. So should be pretty cool down the road. Thanks, guys. See you in the next video.